Yes, people, welcome back to the 1894 for a City versus Liverpool preview. We did an opposition fan preview yesterday, so if you want to get an opposition fan perspective, go back and check that video. We had a good conversation with my friend Sam, but today we want to talk about it from a City perspective. I've got Joe here with me. We're going to outline all of our thoughts, talk about who we want to play, and have a general good conversation about this is the biggest game of the season. This is a hit out between the two best teams in Europe, the two best managers in Europe, and we know from experience in the last 4 or 5 years playing Liverpool, it is a fantastic game of football. We watched the game back in Anfield back in October, November, and that was an unbelievable spectacle for the neutral as well as both teams involved. But Joe, how do you feel going into this game? Because both teams have had good performances recently, both teams have grinded out results and whatnot. How do you feel?
I, for some reason, over the last few days, have been hit by a sudden wave of massive confidence for some reason. I don't know whether it's because I've had just come across some stats on Twitter when I've been scrolling through, and just the fact that, we played them twice in this running. Obviously, we got the first Madrid game out of the way. We played them twice. Surely, we've got to beat them at least once, and we're in a very good position with the way that we've picked up after the international break compared to the way that they've picked up on the international break in terms of just pure performances. Just take the results aside, the actual performances. We've been putting in the better performances. But the saying goes, form goes out the window in these sorts of games. You can't bank on a team just playing subpar at this very moment in time in a game like this that is so huge. You can't do it. It's going to be a fight. We know it's going to be very close. Obviously, the last one was 2-2. And obviously, over the last couple of years, it's sort of been 2-1. There's been a couple of batterings. We have hammered them a couple of times. Various different reasons as to why. But I'm expecting a very close game and a very nervy game.
I saw a stat somewhere. Don't know how accurate it is because I haven't actually gone and checked myself, but it says something like Liverpool have only actually won one of the last 6 or 7 meetings between the City and Liverpool. So there's obviously been a lot of draws in there, and we hammered them once or twice when it didn't particularly matter. I remember we beat them 4-0 after they'd already lifted the trophy back in 1920. But this is a game that many believe, and I don't actually fully agree with it myself, that is going to be the league decider, essentially. Obviously, there's still another 7 games to go after this. Liverpool have quite a tricky run-in. I know they play at home, albeit, but they still play United, Spurs and Everton. And that game against United and that game against Everton, whilst both those oppositions for Liverpool are not going through the best vein of form right now, they're still very emotionally charged fixtures. So I suppose anything can happen. But in terms of this one, you wouldn't really call it a derby because it's not a derby. They're not local rivals of ours, but it's turned into a footballing rivalry. Both teams have hit unbelievable heights in recent years, achieved unbelievable things. Liverpool getting 99 points, ourselves getting 100 points, formidable season and whatnot. And Liverpool, of course, were in the Champions League, us getting the Champions League final. It's turned into a footballing rivalry due to the longevity of these two teams going head to head for so much silverware. Do you think, Joe, that this game is going to be a league decider?
Yes, I am of the opinion that whoever wins this game will go on to win the league. Now, obviously, it will be far from mathematically complete, but I think that us being 4 points with the potential for us to have wrapped up the league, if we keep on winning before that last game of the season, I dread going into the last game of the season needing a win to confirm the title against Steven Gerrard's Aston Villa. I absolutely dread that happening because he will probably want to do anything to get Liverpool that league title. He will park the bus. He will try everything because obviously he has them ties. So yes, I think if we win, then it's it's pretty much over for me. Of course, we're still going to get the job done, but I do believe that if Liverpool go on to win, it just gives them that sort of confidence that, they could beat anybody. I mean, of course they could beat anybody right now, but if they come and beat us, then genuinely, there's no reason. United are in disarray. Everton are probably going to get relegated as it stands, the form that they're in. And Spurs, while in good form, every single time they've come to play Liverpool, they've been in sort of decent form, at least to my knowledge. And then they've just kind of got turned over just when they've come up against this test. And I think, if they beat us, they realise that they can just kind of grind these results out because they know that we're going to match them and possibly even play better than them, given, exactly the way that we've been playing before. But, you see it all the time with this whole rivalry thing. It's not a rivalry, but it's the highest quality game of football you will probably see in English football for a very, very long time. It's not a rivalry, but it is the biggest game in English football right now, and it probably will be for the next couple of years. Like, I'm happy to see it stay, and obviously Pep's come out in his press conference and joked about staying for 10 years, which sadly won't happen. But I mean, long may he stay.
I think something very important to bear in mind here as City fans is that a draw wouldn't be the worst thing in the world for us. Obviously it would be quite anticlimactic because the viewers and the neutrals who will tune in, they will be expecting what you just said, which is a really high quality game of football, because the recent City Liverpool games have been fantastic advertisements for Premier League football. But at the end of the day, in terms of getting ourselves to that league title, a draw wouldn't be the worst thing in the world. We keep our 1 point clear status of Liverpool, and we get that particular fixture out of the way, and then Liverpool have to go into their whole host of tough games. So I don't think a draw will be the worst thing in the world. But in terms of how we see this game going, I think myself and yourself are pretty good at generally predicting how we think the flow of games go when we're doing these previews, because it's pretty predictable as to how City will play. They always, will retain the ball, we'll knock it around, and we'll wait for our opportunities, and the opposition generally sit back. But Liverpool are very much an exception in this sort of conversation because they don't do that. Liverpool will not be willing to just sit back like Atletico or like a Burnley or something like that for 90 minutes and wait for a quick counter-attack and hope for a goal. Liverpool will be up in our faces. They will want to win the ball back. There are three midfielders, Fabinho, Thiago and Henderson, or whoever starts in midfield for them. They will be in the faces of our midfield, whether it's Bernardo, Gundo, De Bruyne, whoever. It'll be a massive battle in the midfield. And I think the saying that myself and yourself use, Joe, that win the midfield battle, you win the game, or you're more likely to, is absolutely is going to be the deciding factor for me in this game. I know both teams have got great attacking players. Both teams have got very good defensive players who can contribute going forward as well. But the midfield for me is where this game is going to be won and lost. And if you want to magnify it even further and narrow it down even further than the midfield, I think the battle between Rodri and Fabinho, how either of them control the flow of the game, is going to massively determine the outcome of this, Joe.
Yeah, I mean, I saw on Twitter today, at the time of recording, little clips from the 18-19 season when we beat them 2-1 in that famous game. That was, I'm hoping it's something similar. I'm obviously hoping for the same result as well, but clips of Fernandinho breaking things up. Like, of course, it probably won't be Fernandinho this time, but he was crucial for breaking up attacks. His passing was exceptional, and that's something that we've kind of come to expect from Rodri this season. Like, he's upped his game this season, and he's crucial to the way we play. And again, he will be crucial in this sort of game because, we say it all the time. In games where he's going to have to make forward passes over the top of their defence, Liverpool play a high line. There will be gaps in behind that we can try to exploit, so he can try, play those long balls across. Laporte and Stones as well at the back. Obviously, still no Diaz. They're good with the ball at their feet. They could unlock, a ball in behind the defence. But at the same time, it's defending as well, breaking up them attacks. Liverpool have got some very, very quick attacking players that on the break. They can really punish us, and he's going to have to be on top of his game. And hopefully he just doesn't get like a stupid booking really early on, and that just puts him on the back foot from the word go, because that's something that we really want to avoid. But he's going to be crucial to the way that we play this game on Sunday.
Yeah, Rodri is going to be absolutely essential. I know Rodri has had an overall very good season, maybe had a slight dip in form like many of the rest of our players or the rest of our squad did just before the international break. But in terms of the pace that Liverpool do counter-attack at and the way they can transition from defence to attack via long balls or passes through the lines from the likes of Trent and Thiago even, and Fabinho, of course, all very technically gifted players. Rodri, who plays in between our attack and our defence, is going to be absolutely crucial in cutting out these balls, because Liverpool's main attacking threat is balls through the line and balls over the top for their attacking outlets to get onto, and vice versa for Fabinho. He's going to have his wits about him for Liverpool in stopping De Bruyne making surging runs through the middle, in stopping Foden taking on balls, and stopping whoever. Bernardo is great at breaking through the lines as well. So the battle of the defensive midfielders, I think, is a huge one to keep an eye on, and of course the rest of the pitch is going to be so many unbelievable one-on-one battles. I mean, we're hoping to see Foden play on the left against arguably right now the best right back in the world in Trent. We have our own question marks over his defensive ability. I know that's a conversation a lot of people have regularly. People think he's good, people think he isn't, or he's got stuff to work on. But we believe that Foden has the beating of Trent. So that'll be a great one-on-one battle. Our centre halves will most likely be Stones and Laporte. We'll get into our predicted starting 11. They're going to have their hands full with people like Diogo Jota. Do I even need to mention Salah and these kind of players? So it's going to be an all-round 11 versus 11 battle of who's better, and it's going to be a massive hit. Now, I know we spoke about whether we think whoever wins this game is going to go on to win the league, and I said I don't necessarily believe that means they're going to win the league, but it obviously puts the winner in a massively advantageous position, not just because we would remain on top of the table if we won, or Liverpool would go on top of the table if they won, but the momentum and the confidence you would take from beating the opponent in this fixture. If we were to beat Liverpool, the momentum and confidence we would take, I would like to think we would see out the rest of our fixtures. Our most tough fixtures being Wolves away and West Ham away, I think it's fair to say. Of course, Villa at home in the last day of the season isn't one to just brush over too, but I'd like to think we take a lot of confidence if we're to beat Liverpool. So in terms of points on the board, of course, winning this game is crucial, but also in terms of a mental boost, this would be absolutely massive. So with that much said, I think we're going to get over to our predicted starting 11. This is possibly the most important predicted starting 11 we have had to pick all season, because it is the biggest game of the season. Had that game back in Anfield had a conclusive winner at the time, maybe we'd be saying different, but with that being a draw, this becomes the final between Liverpool and City. So let's get into it. Right, we're going to put up our predicted starting 11 on screen right now for you to see. Give us your thoughts down below in the comments. Get down below and tell us, would you rather see anybody else start? Is there anyone you don't want to see start? This is just who we are most confident in seeing. There could be one or two adjustments we'll speak about, but this is the 11 we went with. Obviously, a very tough decision, and I'm glad Pep has to make these choices and not me. Anyway, Ederson in goals. He is absolutely crucial this Sunday. He is going to have a bigger task than he has had probably all season, in the sense that Liverpool will be the most attacking team that we play against all season. Ederson, I generally just brush over him quite quickly when we do previews, because we never really predict him having a huge amount to do without being too arrogant, but this game is an exception, like I said. With players like Salah, players like Jota, they can create a chance and get a shot off on goal out of nowhere. So Ederson is going to be huge. And also, I want to note that Ederson can be very big for us going forward. Liverpool, I do want to throw out there, play quite a high line. You know, Van Dijk and Matip or whoever, they play quite high up the pitch, and we know Ederson has a rocket of a boot on him. If he can get a ball over the top, maybe for a Foden to run onto or a Bernardo to run onto, that could be an asset. I just want to throw it out there. Let us know your thoughts down below on that in the comments. Back four, we've gone with a refreshed Kyle Walker. Didn't feature against Atletico in midweek due to suspension. He should be fresh. He should be ready to go, and he's going to have a challenge this weekend, no matter who Liverpool decide to put in their front three. All of our back four are going to have to be on top form. Stones and Laporte we've gone with due to the continued injury of Ruben Diaz, no sign of his return. I have full faith in Laporte and Stones, but one of them, at least one of them, is going to have to stand up and be the leader of the back four this weekend. Neither of them are known for being massive leaders, but I think both of them have their own qualities which they can bring. They're going to have to be huge for us. Of course, Ake may feel hard done by not to feature in the starting 11, because he has been really good when he has played for us recently, but I just don't think he's quite ready for this fixture. I think Laporte and Stones are the trusted two, and of course Cancelo on the left for us. He is going to be instrumental for us going forward in chance creation. Once again, similar to Ederson, Cancelo has that technical ability to provide a pass over the top or break in between two of the Liverpool defenders and release someone else. Joe, I think this is the best back four we could come up with, given the circumstances of Ruben Diaz's injury and maybe Nathan Ake feeling hard done by. But I have full confidence they can do a good job, and if they're on form, will hopefully limit the damage Liverpool can cause.
I feel a little bit bad for Nathan Ake in this game, to be honest, because he's got such a good shout. The best shout he's ever had playing in a massive game, and he did play in one in midweek, just gone. But, I mean, look, these four players have all played in this game once, twice, I think. Cancelo maybe twice, maybe three times. I can't remember whether he played both of them last year. He probably did, and I'm probably being silly, but, like, the experience of this fixture, they know how hard it is. All four of them, including the goalkeepers, all five of them have been through this fixture multiple times. They know how difficult it's going to be. They are used to this sort of pressure and this sort of attacking talent that Liverpool have. And the important thing to note with Ederson is that his distribution over the last few games has been absolutely exceptional. He's managed to pick out someone almost every time. So, you know, he's going to be crucial. And not only that, he's actually going to have to make some saves. Like, he is going to have to make some saves. And I do have to point out as well, the centre-halves, they need to actually properly mark. Like, I've got full confidence that they will, but I think Jota has some ridiculous, like the most headed goals in the Premier League this season. And obviously with Trent most likely going to play it on the right-hand side, whipping crosses in. it's a threat having someone who, with that delivery, and someone like Jota with that statistic of headers on the end of those crosses. They're going to have to watch themselves. They're going to have to be, they're going to have to be locked in. They're going to have to focus and make sure that they get onto them, which I have full confidence that they will. They've put up some astounding aerial duel numbers this season between the both of them, so I have full confidence in them.
It's going to be the toughest day for our defence that we've seen all season, possibly. So I'm really hoping they can pull through with the goods this weekend. I think if they do, it'll be a good day for us. Defence, more than usual, defence. There's going to be a huge emphasis on the importance of our defence this weekend. And like you kind of touched on briefly there, I wouldn't be surprised if we see some sort of man marking going on at times during the game. It remains to be seen. I'm looking forward to these battles. Moving into midfield, we had some tough decisions. The back four, we kind of were able to pick it quite quickly because we don't have a huge amount to choose from. But in our attacking areas, as I'm sure you all know, we have a lot of quality players. We've gone with Rodri. Fernandinho has played possibly less than 10 games this season. We could not throw him into this. Rodri is also trustworthy, I think. I think he's earned the trust of Pep this season. He showed a lot of consistency. Granted, may have fallen off a teeny bit just before the international break, but has looked good since the return from the international break. So I have no issue with that. And we spoke about him in the first segment of the show, the importance of him in this game and breaking up Liverpool attacks. Liverpool, I can't put enough emphasis on this. They're a huge attacking team and they attack at serious pace. So Rodri is going to have his hands full and he's going to be huge in breaking those up. We've gone with a partnership of balance, a balance of pace, energy, and then composure and coolness in Bernardo and Gundogan. Now, obviously, a lot of people may have preferred to have seen De Bruyne in the midfield and someone else in the front three, but we just decided that based on the energy Bernardo brings and the pace of the game this is going to be, the height of the pace that this game is going to have, Bernardo is going to be huge in maintaining our pace and keeping up with the pace, because I don't know, does Gundogan bring the same energy, but he will be very cool and composed when we are going through patient phases of trying to break down a tight Liverpool defence. I think it's a good front three. It is open. It is quite fluid. You could see De Bruyne chopping and changing. You could possibly see Bernardo moving up into the false nine at some stage. The whole front five for City is always very fluid. Joe, what do you think about this midfield?
I mean, regardless of whether you decide to play, all three of the central midfielders that we have, whether you decide to play Gundogan, De Bruyne and Bernardo, it is absolutely crucial that Bernardo Silva slots into that midfield, regardless of who you play in that false nine, regardless of if you just had to go with two of them or three of them. Bernardo Silva cannot be put into that false nine role. He has to play in midfield because we're going to need his energy. You look at someone like Henderson, the leader of that Liverpool team. He's not the most technically gifted, but he works incredibly hard. He'll run around. He'll do anything for the team. And that's the sort of role that Bernardo Silva is going to have to sort of replicate whilst also using his technical ability as well, because we know he has it. In fixtures gone by, like this game, games against United, he runs the most, something stupid like 15 kilometres. It's absolutely crucial that he plays in the middle of the park. We can't afford to shoehorn him anywhere else. Like, there was one point in the Atletico Madrid game where he was playing out wide and I didn't like it. So he just has to play there for me. And I'm a big fan of Gundogan. I think he would really, really suit this fixture. We know it's most probably going to be tight. I don't see any other way that it isn't going to be very closely contested, and he's a player that can get you a goal. He's a player that will arrive late in the box, right place, right time, and he'll get an opportunity and he'll most likely take it. He'll get you a goal. He can be crucial. Now, that might be something to think about off the bench, considering that, De Bruyne is a big game player who stepped up after that international break. A couple good games since that international break, but it's a headache for Pep, and again, I'm glad I'm not choosing it. And, it's a good problem to have, having this many quality players in the same position.
I know Liverpool fans and probably plenty of neutrals believe that Liverpool have the best players in this position or that position, but genuinely, I'm even going to take my City cap off here for a second. I believe that this midfield has the beating of Fabinho, Henderson and Thiago, whoever else they play in that midfield. I think if it was our three versus those three, the ones we've mentioned, I think on our day, if our players are all on form and up for it, we have the beating of them. The midfield battle is so important here, and I think we've got a good balance of strength, energy, composure in the three we've selected. You did mention that Gundo could start on the bench, and that wouldn't be a total surprise, but I'd be happy to see this midfield three that we've gone with. Now, moving into the front three, once again, this is up for debate who starts in the front three, but we have gone for these three players on the basis we think they're the big game players and they can deliver the goods. We've gone with Foden on the left. I spoke about it briefly in the first segment. I think the battle between Foden and Trent could really favour us. I think Foden will have to possibly track back a little bit more. I want to see him on the left. He may have to track back a little bit more than he's used to because Trent obviously loves to go forward. But I also back Foden's attacking ability over Trent's defensive ability. I think an example of this is the impact that Foden had on the game when he came on against Atletico the other night. Granted, he played on the right, but he is a big game player, Foden, and he looks refreshed. He looks really good. He looks on form. And I think Pep was holding him back from starting that Atletico game on the basis that he wants Foden for this Liverpool game. Then on the right, we've gone with Mahrez. Now, Sterling, it's no disrespect to Sterling, and I would have no issue if Sterling was to start hand on heart. But Mahrez is a killer. Mahrez is clinical. Mahrez steps up in the big games, like I said about Foden as well. And he's our highest goal scorer, I believe, this season, or at least our highest goal contributor. So he can create stuff and he can score himself. And I think he can give Andy Robertson really something to think about. Matip is going to probably have to double up at times with, Van Dijk's probably going to have to double up at times with Robertson to slow Mahrez down, because that's what most teams do, and that can create space for the likes of Foden over the far side with the way that we like to get the ball from one side of the pitch to the other. If we can do that fast, this can be very effective. And then in the middle, we said it's very fluid. We think De Bruyne is suited to this false nine. Obviously, he will drop deeper. He never hangs around up top. We do need him to drop deeper and break between the lines and put in crosses and whatnot. Hopefully not all the time. We need him passing the ball around, and he is also, once again, a very big game player. Whether you think De Bruyne has been consistently good or not all season, that's up to you, and I fully respect if you think he hasn't, because I understand it. But you can't deny that when we need De Bruyne the most, he does generally always turn up. He bagged a big goal against Burnley last week. We needed that goal last week. We needed that win, and he comes up with the goods. And he's coming into form, I think, at the time we need him most. So I'd be happy to see him play the false nine, and you could see it very fluid. Mainly Foden and De Bruyne, you could see them swapping around and moving around. Sterling could come on, the front three could chop and change where they are. Likewise, possibly Grealish could come on. We don't think he's probably suited to this game to start anyway, but this is the front three we went with. I think it's a pretty strong front three, Joe, and there's a lot of room for fluidity.
There's a lot of room for manoeuvre in this team in terms of where players are going to play and which players are going to play. I think personally, I mentioned Gundogan off the bench. I think there's a very high chance that De Bruyne slots where Gundogan is. Foden moves into the false nine position where he's been playing mostly this season, and Sterling comes onto the left, which I wouldn't be against at all, because Sterling last season, he rinsed Trent at Anfield. He really did. I think he won a penalty in that game. We didn't score it, but he won a penalty. Like, we know Trent isn't the best defensively. He's not a bad defender. He is improving on his defending, but he's still not great. He's still gettable with someone who's tricky, can actually drive at players. So one of Foden or Sterling on the left. Like, I know people are fans of Sterling on the right. Sterling on the left for this game, I'm more than happy with, because I think against Trent, he'd have a very, very good chance of getting past him a couple of times. And look, with the whole De Bruyne thing, he hasn't been consistent, but he's starting to show signs of picking up a little bit of consistency now. And we're again, it's the right time. He's picked the right time to do it. Business end of the season. We've 8 Premier League games to go or something like that. Quarterfinal of Champions League, semi-final of FA Cup. He's picked the right time to pick up form. And same thing with Mahrez. Consistency. He's been very consistent this season. You know what you're going to get from him when he plays. Penalty taking. I know we've got awful memories of Mahrez taking penalties against Liverpool, but this season, penalty taking, absolutely superb. Again, consistency. We've got that little bit of consistency. And, I saw this stat. I was watching Newcastle Wolves tonight, time of recording, and they showed the set piece numbers. Now, this really interested me, actually, because I know I go on all the time about our poor set piece delivery. Whoever it is, De Bruyne, Foden, and Mahrez, Gundogan, whoever it is, it's pretty poor sometimes. Like, I think we can all agree on that. But it's surprising to me that we've scored 13, which I'm pretty sure is joint second, and Liverpool have scored 15, which is the most, but we've only conceded 1 set-piece goal in the Premier League this season. So, the best defence against set-pieces, it's the best statistically offensive set-pieces. Like, that should be something that you should watch out for.
Yeah, I think it's all going to be huge. I think for one of the first times in a long time, every single area of the pitch, every single tactic that gets used is going to be absolutely crucial in the outcome of this game. It was a tough call picking this 11 for us, possibly the toughest call we've had all season. Probably is the toughest call we've had all season, but this is the 11 we went with, and we understand if you people watching have different ideas, and we'd love to hear them down below in the comments. So do get down below in the comments and let us know your thoughts. Now, the big part that we love doing on the preview is the score prediction. Now, for those of you who watched the opposition fan preview, which came out yesterday with Sam, if you haven't done, like I said, go back and have a look at that. It's a great chat. I said 3-2 City, and I was saying a Grealish goal, but it's almost kind of a gimmick now, me saying a Grealish goal, because I say it every week and we haven't even picked him to start. So of this predicted starting 11 we have here, I'm going to go with a Foden goal. I'm going to say 3-2, and for this time I'm going to say a Foden goal. That's the outcome I think, and that's the outcome I would be very happy with. Joe, we don't know your score prediction. What are you going for? And well, as always, give me a goal scorer of your choice.
I'm going to go for a 2-1 win, similar to a couple of years ago, and I'm going to go very, very, very outside the box. I don't know where this has come from. I'm going to go for a Rodri goal.
Oh, any reason?
No, I'm sort of having flashbacks every now and then. I keep seeing the whole 93-20 stuff because it's a 10-year anniversary and Aguero used to wear 16 and he wears 16 now, so it's just kind of coming to my head.
Very superstitious, very sentimental. And also, I will, you know what, I wouldn't put it past him, because Rodri has been launching a lot of shots from range at goal recently. He was unlucky against Burnley. He might have hit the post, or it got saved very well by the keeper. So maybe he is due a goal, Rodri. Either way, I don't really give a fuck who puts the ball in the back of the net once it's one of the players wearing a blue shirt. I'm happy out. So I'm saying Foden. I said Grealish yesterday, but we haven't picked him to start, so I'm going with Foden this time. 3-2 for me, 2-1 and a Rodri goal from Joe. Get down below in the comment section. Let us know your score predictions. Let us know your thoughts on this game. We want to hear everything you have to say. This game is absolutely huge in this title race. There's absolutely no denying that. Give us all your thoughts. We love hearing what you have to say. Leave a like on the video. It helps us massively. And subscribe if you're new, of course, as well. And join us at 4:15 on Sunday for a live watch-along. We don't do live watch-alongs very often. We kind of save them for the big games, but this is definitely a perfect occasion for a watch-along. Come and join us if you fancy it. Come into the chat. Give us your thoughts as it's all happening. Hear our thoughts. Get involved. And we look forward to hopefully seeing you on Sunday. And hopefully, if you can't join us, we will hopefully come to you with a positive result and a happy review. Good night and God bless. Enjoy your weekend.